All right, suppose we can get started. I dropped a link to the pad in the chat here. If you want to sign in, go ahead, or take any notes or anything in there, feel free. Otherwise, welcome to our member call. If you haven't joined us before, it's just a bunch of people who work in, research, computing, and whatnot, and we talk about stuff for half hour to an hour and the problems that we see at scale or anything of that sort. If you have any topics, drop those in the pad or feel free to just bring them up while we're chatting here. This is pretty free form. I just kind of try to keep the conversation moving between topics that are in the pad. Does anybody have anything they want to immediately start off with or anything of that sort? Not, I'll just start running down some of our usual topics here and some of the stuff that's been added. So anybody have any recent outages due to bugs or anything like that they want to, share and talk about? Thankfully, this time I don't have one.
Hey, now it works. I don't know, my camera works though.
Hey, there you are. I guess since nobody's speaking up, we've all had a great past 2 months and no outages or anything like that. A change. Very welcome, though. Kind of along the same topic, anybody hit any bugs that's caused them headaches or, not necessarily an outage, but, just a general pain to have in the cluster or for clients?
Very quiet couple of months, actually. It's been nice.
Yeah, sure has been.
Well, the big issue on our side is we're replacing hardware for our S3 cluster. So that has tons and tons of little files. And this doesn't go so well when after a PG moves from an old OSD to one of the new ones, and then it needs to delete that PG deletion is really inefficient right now, and you can get slow requests, and OSDs can start flapping. So we had to enable. This is with Nautilus, like 14.2.11, I think. We had to re-enable BlueFS buffered I/O. That helped a lot. And then, well, Igor, the Blue Store genius, is preparing. He has a patch for PG deletion, and I guess that would fix the underlying problem. But we need buffered I/O in the meantime, otherwise the cluster is not stable.
Are you just moving so many PGs so fast, or what's do you have a lot of PGs, or with
I think it's related to the number of objects in the PG,
sure.
Because the PG deletion, to delete a PG from a running OSD, that code is kind of inefficient because it deletes 30. It loops through iteration by iteration, and it deletes, I think, 30 objects each iteration. But to find the next 30 objects to delete, it has to start at the beginning each time. So this ends up kind of spamming your RocksDB querying, searching all the keys for the next 30 objects to delete. But then there's a fix to kind of just keep a reference to the last time where it was, and then it can more quickly do this. But I think that looks, I don't know, it's not in a release yet. That's all.
Interesting. It kind of sounds kind of similar to what I've seen on FileStore with after doing rebalancing, I'd see some OSDs running higher utilization because there's still an old PG hanging around in the directory, and I never got to a root cause of it.
The end result is a lot like how FileStore was when we used to run that. The deleting and merging. What was it? The merging that happens inside the FileStore directories was too slow. But this is like a completely different cause, but the effect is quite similar. The OSDs start flapping, and then we had to pause the rebalancing, like set no rebalance, and then find a way to make it more stable.
Interesting. Do you know if they have a targeted release for that patch that Ehlers worked on?
Yeah, so I can try to find the. It should be coming soon. I think well, I'll try to find the pull request and I'll link it when I find it.
Sure. Maybe it's just the next one, the 14.2.14, probably.
Yeah, I'll have a look for that. I'm not finding it immediately.
Sure. Well, along with bugs, I kind of just looked around at some of like the recent releases and saw that in the 14.2.12 fixed that OSD map issue, and 14.2.11. If anybody was seeing that. And then, unfortunately, it seems like the 14.2.13 came out real fast because of a regression with the Ceph Mons DNS names in the mon-host for the configs. And it sure looks like they're doing a lot of work on Octopus, and the release notes there are quite long. They definitely fixed those same bugs in there as well. Anybody have any comments on new Octopus installations, upgrade procedures from an old version to that, or experiences of that sort from the last couple months here?
According to the bugs, we have one bug with OSD memory leakage. In Nautilus, after upgrading, we noticed that our OSDs are taking more and more memory, and we have continuously flapping OSDs in our cluster. So we have one flap per hour in 5,000 OSDs. So I talked with Mark Nelson from Performance Team, and he agreed about that. They saw this in their tests, and under the huge load, probably only write load, the OSD starting leakage, but as far as I know, Adam Kupczyk didn't start it, works about it, and we're still waiting and trying to gain some time to search what is the root cause of that. So maybe I started thinking about OSD map trim issue. Maybe it's amplified something about memory leakage here, but I need to test and look in debug mode, get more data.
Is this an S3 cluster? Sorry.
Yes, S3 cluster mainly with erasure credit pool.
On top of Blue Store, probably.
We checked the Blue Store allocations, and it looks quite okay.
Is this? I mean, this happened to us one time, where we had the PG logs exploded. They became like so large that all the OSDs on the machine went out of memory. And then we restarted, and it replayed the PG logs, and then all of that memory went from being in PG log mempool to being in buffer anon mempool. And then we shortened the PG log from 3,000 max entries to 500 max entries, and we haven't seen this since then. But I have no idea why the PG log got so large for us that particular. It was actually immediately after we upgraded to Nautilus. We went straight to 14.2.11. The memory usage was going up, and then the PG logs were like, it seemed they were never freeing their memory or something like that. And then we rebooted once, everything, and then we haven't had it happen again since then. So I never got to the bottom of what it was.
I will try it. Maybe it has some kind of resolution. But interesting thing is, when I saw this effect first time, that was 1 week after upgrade from Luminous to Nautilus, I set OSD memory target to the half of default value from config, and it doesn't help. So I hope that it will block the rising memory usage, but it didn't, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, that's the same symptom that we have. We had it once.
Okay, I will try.
Here's what. Yeah, there.
Okay.
I put the link to the post that I put on the thing. This was how it happened for us, and then it never reoccurred after this. But anyway, you can read it later, I guess.
Okay, I will take a look at this. And another interesting thing, we noticed a bug in probably Beast. After during upgrade, we can't upgrade Rados gateways. So after some testing, we decide to fall back to Civet Web. And Rados gateway with Civet Web are working okay. It's working a little lower performance, but it's working. But I will paste later a bug tracker where we have an investigation why Beast isn't working, and there are some thoughts about Erasure coded pools and big buckets that Beast can't handle request to that. So probably both of them are generating traces for us.
What was the bug? The Beast bug. What was the symptom?
It was setting in the config. Oh, I got it. Yes, I got a commit about coroutine stack size. And this change probably should help, but I didn't test it yet. I will test it in Friday, our dev cluster. But the interesting thing is, I will send later, from the tracker, there isn't one point of exception during the working Rados gateway. There was 3-4 types. So it isn't easy to catch why it crashed. Oh, I have issue.
Interesting. We had one issue recently where, so we normally do the TLS termination in our front ends, which is Trafic, this load balancer Trafic. Anyway, we have some gateways that we connect to directly with SSL, and we had an issue just actually this week connecting to those, and they were giving like TLS errors. I wonder if this is the same what you saw, even that I see this is all in the SSL part. Okay.
I can write you how our tests are when we test it. I suppose test it, like I said, in Friday, because for tomorrow I have another things to do. But it's very interesting because when we test it, when test upgrade, when we done one upgrade, where we have unreplicated pool, everything goes smoothly. But on our largest cluster, we had problems. So there are probably problem with erasure coded pool or the big buckets.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what your test on Friday brings up. Keep an eye on that Ceph tracker. It's interesting.
For what
I
it's
saw it
worth,
Or go ahead.
just going to say, for what it's worth, to do with upgrades, we've just upgraded two clusters, two small ones from 15.2.5 to 2.6. Absolutely no problems whatever. The only Octopus upgrade we ever had trouble with was the one with the OSD well corruption, but that was one specific thing. Although we're not using Ceph ADM, I don't trust it yet. But it's all been smooth and completely no problems, which is nice.
Good to hear. One feature I saw in 15.2.5 was the new warning about when an OSD gets repaired too many times, which should be nice for trying to track down those iffy OSDs. Somebody added something about multi-MDS and they want to give up on it.
Oh, that was me. Well, it's just that when we upgraded from Luminous to Nautilus, our biggest FFS, and we used to have 10 active MDSs, and actually upgrading was quite painful because you had to shrink down to one MDS. And there was one step, I think from 3 to 2, we actually had 30 minutes of slowness because like re-exporting everything that was pinned to MDS2 or MDS3 to move it down to 2 was not transparent. So anyway, this probably we shot ourselves in the foot with too much like subdirectory pinning. But anyway, we went down to 1, upgraded, and now we have 3 active. And actually, like the first one is doing most of the work, and the second and third are doing very little work. So I'm thinking that actually just one active MDS might even handle the load anyway, and all this multi MDS isn't worth the trouble. So I just wonder if people out there have like really high metadata intensive workloads on with just one single MDS, or if people really do think that like multi MDS is needed.
We only have a smallish load on it, but we did have one active and two standby. When I switched to two active and one standby, there was a noticeable performance improvement. But it is only small with lowish load. But they say that it was noticeable, but we certainly haven't struck any problems having multiple.
Okay.
That's on Octopus.
An octopus, okay.
Why'd you go to 10 MDS in the first place?
Because why not? I mean, back when we did this, it was probably over a year ago that we went to 10, and there were some users that had complained about like directory listing slowness or something like that. So by having 10, it just like kind of sharded the users over different MDSs.
Sure.
But I think that in the meantime, the MDS has gotten much more efficient, and I'm not sure that that so many is really needed anymore. And what the other reason that I was looking at this recently, going down to one, is because I wanted to scrub a path to fix some metadata that had gotten weird. Some files had disappeared or something, and then I tried to scrub the path in it, and I got the warning that scrub is not supported on multi-MDS with multi-active MDS. And then I saw that this has now been just merged to master, and I guess it will appear in, I guess, Pacific, but I don't know if they'll backport it to Octopus or Nautilus. But if you want to scrub a path in Ceph, you have to shrink down to one active MDS and then scrub, and then you can return back to 3 or whatever you need.
Interesting. Wonder why. So you plan just sticking with the 3 for a little while to see how that goes, and
I think next time we upgrade, we'll decrease to 1 and then leave it at 1 and just see how that goes for a while.
cool. Yeah, maybe it has just gotten that much more efficient at handling the metadata and everything, where you don't need the multiple active. The one active and 2 standbys or something is enough to get by now. I mean, I assume you guys have a pretty big load on it as well.
It depends. It's not. I mean, Well, we're just starting to get our first like physics users on it. Most of the time, it is used for kind of infrastructure stuff, like all of our Linux repositories, and we use it. It has actually the home directories for HPC, but those guys don't really hammer it too hard. They go pretty easy on it. The heaviest workload that we have is the thing that effectively needs to read and check every single RPM at CERN 4 times a day, because this is how I think Yum repo sync works. Has anyone upgraded to the latest, like anything beyond, I guess 13? Yeah, because 14 and 15 were very quick. Like 14 to 13 is what I'm saying. Because 14.2.14 was a security patch, and then 14.2.15 was a fixing Ceph volume regression. So has anybody upgraded to 14.2.13 and like is happy with it?
We are running on 14 to 11 only, and waiting.
Yeah, same with
the
us.
new
Yeah.
version will be stable.
Yeah. Okay. We're also waiting, yeah. Because there's quite some Blue Store changes in 14.2.13, which actually came in 14.2.12, but 14.2.13 notably. It has this big change in the Blue Store allocator to use extra space, so it doesn't spill over. If you have a dedicated block DB, yeah.
Currently, we have works on spillover problem because it fits us. We proposed a new volume selector for the BlueFS. I will find the PR. We are trying to eliminate the slow volume for RocksDB. And as far as I remember, it is approved but not merged. Now,
So this is something on top of what of the use some extra policy that just got released
no,
in 14.2.12?
No. You are talking about some fixes, maybe no workarounds from Igor. But we spent time to create the oh my god, I have problems with my mailing system. Okay, I got it. Oh, so we spent some of the time to create some proposal to delete the usage of the HDD drive. So as you can see, we create the third parameter to the volume selector, and
Okay.
you can read all of the comments. It's quite big history here. And
Are you using this? Are you using this in production?
Not in production. Actually, still running in test environments. We are slowly preparing to run in the pre-production. But I think when it gets merged into master, we will decide to run it in production.
So your volume selector resizes the levels to fit on the SSD.
Yes.
Okay.
During the evaluation of this PR, we find another bug in BlueFS, so I think our team made quite a good job, and we hope that the spillover problem will be gone forever after that.
Oh, nice.
Probably
Does it-
we will make a backport to Octopus and Nautilus also, so maybe in next releases this option will be available.
Do we need to redeploy the OSD to use this dynamic levels, or does it?
No.
Okay.
The funny thing is that the organization of data during upgrade went quite smoothly. We didn't notice any interruptions, so maybe in other cluster will be something, but in our test cluster we didn't saw nothing. Will be seen by pre-production and the production later, but we're waiting for the merge, and then we build it to our pre-production.
Can I ask a different question about Blue Store? There are several allocator related crashes that people are reporting, especially with NVMEs. Do you have any like allocator related crashes at your site? Do you have some kind of custom Blue Store configuration that you run, or do you just use default 14.2.11 Blue Store configuration?
Let me see.
Because we see none of these crashes, but every time someone is posting on these in Tracker or on mailing list, it looks very scary. Like we have never had to run BlueFS FSCK on any of our clusters.
We had BlueStar RocksDB options to feed the levels on production, and enabled snappy compression because we have very long paths and they are good compressed. But for the nothing more for BlueStar.
Okay. Actually, I see your config file was posted in in the tracker you linked to earlier. I can see it there. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's from the production cluster.
One last question, maybe I can ask, since everyone's quiet. We run our Rados gateways on some VMs with only 32 gigabytes of RAM. And sometimes if the cluster gets very slow, or if a user sends a lot of requests, if users really hammer the Rados gateways, the memory usage of the Rados gateway can increase to be a lot. And we're trying to find ways to limit the memory usage. I think what happens is the Rados gateway is like buffering it's allowing many concurrent IOs, and it's just creating memory buffers for all of the concurrent IOs. Does anyone have like some recommendation for limiting memory usage of Rados gateways?
Do you see this on Ceph frontend or Beast?
Beast.
Maybe number of threads. Maybe. I saw the paper
We have
from
one. We have one. Yeah, we have one Rados handle.
But the number
How much memory do your Rados gateways use?
We have Rados gateway collocated with manager, monitor, and MFS Ganesha to serve data, but probably it takes about 12. Maybe I will check.
How much memory you have on that whole machine for all those services?
256.
Okay. Yeah, so you probably
You
we
have
notice when it goes out of
dedicated-
memory, but I think you'd never get that large. Yeah. Oh, you mean
so
RGW
our
thread pool
Rados
size? Yeah,
gateway
maybe.
takes 34 gigabytes of memory
Yeah.
with 512 threads.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe limiting
How
some actions on kernel level will help.
how many Rados gateways do you run for your large cluster?
8.
8. Okay.
But we did some tests in Luminous a long time ago where we connect 15 or 14 Rados gateways to the cluster to check if we can download data with the speed 100 gigabytes from it, and it scales good.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 15 Rados gateways now, but they're not very high like throughput. It's more like IOPS, like they have GitLab registry and some other things. We have small files on top. But I think maybe if we have fewer Rados gateways with more memory, we might have better experience. Do you have some load balancer on top which is redirecting according to bucket name or something like that?
The biggest cluster infrastructure is quite specific because before the Rados gateways, we have our proxy, POS3, which is translating paths from the user space to Ceph space names, and before that, the load balancer. But
Okay.
So you have one load balancer before the 15 Rados gateways?
No, we have say 8 or 9, or maybe 10. I don't know. We have 15 total. We take randomly. We use round robin DNS with say 10 of them, and then we have Trafic, which is like HA proxy. I don't know if you know Trafic. It's like HA proxy listening on port 80 and 443. And then inside we look at the bucket name and we route to specific Rados gateways depending on the bucket name, depending on like a regex of the bucket name. So this way we have some users that do something crazy, and we route them to special Rados gateways in case they do something really like DOS or something. Their Rados gateway will be affected, but the other users won't be affected.
Oh, interesting solution.
Yeah, it is. We'll tend to forget that resources are finite sometimes, and we'll accidentally DDoS or something unintentionally.
What are people's experiences of Beast versus Civet on that?
I can't remember why we were using Beast even back when it was experimental. I can't remember the reason that we switched from CivicWeb.
I heard people that the beasts are faster.
I haven't tried Beast. It's just been on the list of things to try one day when we've got time, but I didn't. Just curious to know whether what people had found.
There are another one, the performance tests from Red Hat, and as I remember correctly, there are improvements in writes to the cluster, but the rates are the same, on the same level.
Okay.
Just a random thing going down the Rados gateway talk is for my infrastructure, we finally are upgrading to like some 40 and 100 gigabit switches. So I might end up going the Rados gateway now instead of using the librados directly. So I'm one of the few that actually does that. Might be a smart move to do finally.
Sorry, I missed the. You said you want to go from because you use Librados directly now, right?
Yeah, and well, I finally got some new switch infrastructure that's more 40, 100 gigabit switches. Because right now it's all just 10 gigabit for my networking part of the data center. And I always thought that would be a kind of a pain with Rados Gateway because I would just need an insane amount of ports going to each host. Because that compute cluster will pull at 160 gigabits or whatever. That's why we stuck with the Librados because you didn't have the bottleneck of the gateway in there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but now that we have the infrastructure to support it, I might actually start going down that path of finally get over onto using Rados Gateway and off of Librados so that I can finally do that blue store switch from file store because of the file size limit that we have, that blue store has, and finally realize some of the benefits of it. It's on my to-do list.
Yeah, I think our friends at Pawsey Supercomputer Center in Australia are trying to do multi tens of gigabytes per second through Rados Gateway as well on a new infrastructure that they're I think procuring now. I don't know if I'm just checking who's on the call.
Yeah.
Lucas not there. There were also like back in Beijing Ceph Day, there were, I think Cloud was running a mini Rados gateway on every client machine. and connecting locally. But I think that they
Did
got
that-
advice that this isn't a good idea because the Rados gateways communicate with each other to deal with the bucket cache,
Oh yeah,
bucket index cache.
interesting idea. I never would have considered something like that. But then again, I don't want to have like 100 Rados gateways.
Not sure how the security model would work.
Yeah, you have
Very
to trust
true.
root
If you have,
obviously in that case.
yeah, if you have external users actually using it instead of just a, straight up HPC private cluster type of thing. In the chat, looks like Andre's looking to grow Ceph a bit or something there. Cool. Glad you could join us.
The main place. So we also have NetApp and Ceph, and we use NetApp for our Oracle databases. So we haven't yet. Our DB team has not yet had the guts to move to Ceph yet for CephFS. But to be honest, I mean, on the just keeping technical, I'm not sure how we would back up a CephFS cluster that was running all of our oracles, because we have something like 10 petabytes of Oracle or more now. That number is probably getting obsolete. But backing up 10 petabytes of CephFS databases, I don't know how that would work. Whereas with NetApp, you have a nice snap mirror and things like this.
Yeah, proprietary does have its advantages from time to time. Anybody else have any fun stuff topics, or I don't know, any fun HPC topics in general?
Is anyone using the InfiniBand networking in Ceph? Because our HPC guys are always asking if they can switch to InfiniBand Ceph, but I always say, no. It's probably not that stable. Let's just stick with Ethernet.
I looked into it
Use
once or
InfiniBand.
twice,
Yeah.
but like there seems to be like 5 users out there doing it, and
Right.
supposedly you can do the InfiniBand over IP to make it work or whatever as well, and
I just don't think that the network is the bottleneck.
no.
And I also, moreover, I don't think our users are bottlenecked by CephFS on Ethernet either.
There's usually tuning that can be done elsewhere to get improvement over the complications of adding InfiniBand.
We've got a whole bunch of Mellanox InfiniBand adapters, but we're running them all in Ethernet mode. I can actually see it. You can get. I've seen about 99.2 throughput on them. 92, about 99.2 gig throughput on them. When we try to stress them, and that's fast enough.
Yeah, hopefully it is. Last call. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. Good talk. The next one, I guess, would be close to the end of January, whatever the fourth Wednesday of January will be. I'll send out the usual reminders on the Ceph list and to the private email group as well. Otherwise, enjoy the holidays, and I guess
Yeah, you too.
continue to be safe.
Thanks for organizing. I think
Yeah,
that's
of course.
quite useful still.
Yep, it's always nice to chat now that we can't do conferences or anything like that anymore.
Maybe next year.
Vaccines, they're making progress. Just got to ramp it up and have enough willing participants.
Okay.
All right, see y'all later.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.